Like, I was like, yo, this is them right there. It's a real thing, right? He's like, yeah. And I said, yo, just watch it.
50 Cent has now confessed that he played a significant part in bringing down Big U. And this wasn't just about street beef. It was a deliberate strategy to get Big U locked up for allegedly being involved in Nipsey's death. In a recent interview, 50 breaks down details of Big U's underground empire in a way that's almost unbelievable. Let's break it all down. 50 Cent, who exactly is Big U, and what's he orchestrating from the shadows? Big U is a dominant figure in Los Angeles. Once the head of the Rolling 60s neighborhood Crips, he shifted into the music scene after serving a 13-year prison sentence for robbery in the 90s. This guy was instrumental in launching Nipsey Hussle's career and earned respect in the streets and music world through his nonprofit, Developing Options, which branded him a community leader. But everything flipped in March 2025 when Big U was slammed with a 43-count federal indictment accusing him of leading a criminal organization resembling the mafia. We're talking high-stakes charges: murder, racketeering, fraud, and extortion. Prosecutors claim he was disguising illegal operations behind his music connections and charity. Now enters Wack 100, whose real name is Cash Jones, a music manager linked with artists like The Game, Blueface, and 6ix9ine. Wack has made a name for himself being extremely outspoken and frequently stirring controversy, regardless of public opinion. He's affiliated with the Bloods, specifically the Pacoima, which matters considering the long-standing rivalry between Bloods and Crips. Then there's 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson, the undisputed king of trolling and arguably one of hip-hop's smartest business minds. Though not officially tied to any gang, 50 was raised in the rough streets of South Jamaica, Queens, hustling drugs before rising as a rap icon. So how did these three figures collide in such a chaotic triangle? This drama's been cooking for years. Here's how it started. At one point, Wack 100 and Big U were actually on good terms. But their friendship began to deteriorate when Big U voiced his disapproval over how Wack conducted himself. In a past interview, Wack 100 admitted he regretted how things went down between them, saying, "When I reflect on the full picture, there's probably only one person out of all of this I wish had turned out differently, and that's Big U, because I love his family. And no matter what's going on between me and him, I know his family, you feel me?" But their distance grew even more after the heartbreaking murder of Nipsey Hussle in 2019. Wack made some wildly disrespectful remarks about Nipsey and his killer, Eric Holder. Reports say Wack praised Eric Holder for being a real gangster who followed the street code after Nipsey allegedly disrespected him. Naturally, this didn't sit right with Big U, who had a close relationship with Nipsey. Big U reportedly called up Wack and checked him hard for his statements. At first, Wack appeared to dial it back, posting online that Big U scolded him and that he'd keep quiet. But that moment was just the beginning of a much deeper, public falling out. By 2022, tensions had grown considerably. Wack attempted to offer peace during an interview with Duck and CJ Maxx, saying, "When I look at the whole layout, there's probably only one person out of everything you've been seeing going on that I wish it could have been different, and that's Big U because I love his family." But Big U wasn't trying to hear it. He straight up rejected the apology on Instagram, stating, "I don't accept no apology from no one who disrespect my name, disrespect my family, and call me out my name." The beef kept brewing until 2025 when it finally exploded with Big U's RICO arrest. This is where 50 Cent comes into the mix. After Big U was arrested in March 2025, he made a jaw-dropping claim in a video before turning himself into the feds. Big U accused Wack 100 of snitching and helping the FBI build their case against him.
Loose cannon, 600, and this internet.
He even claimed Wack was there when his home was raided, saying 600 was actually with the police during the raid on my house. He even got video and footage of it, so y'all know what you're dealing with. Wack 100 quickly denied these claims during a Clubhouse session, saying, "Ain't got nothing to do with Wack." He mocked Big U for acting surprised by the raid, hinting that Big U's arrest was only a matter of time because of his own decisions. But here's where things take a twist. 50 Cent, the master of trolling and a skilled strategist, has reportedly been moving in the background, according to several sources. While no direct proof shows 50 Cent worked with the feds, his long history of law enforcement ties and tactical feuds put him right in the center of suspicion. Some folks think 50 Cent has been supplying Whack 100 with intel, which Whack then uses to taunt Big U. In hip-hop, 50 has a reputation for playing it smart in beefs, often gathering inside info through his network and launching indirect attacks on rivals. This is a new behavior for 50 Cent. Think back to how he went after Rick Ross. He didn't just drop diss records. He dug up Ross's background as a former corrections officer and used that info to damage Ross's street image. 50 is known to think long-term, and a lot of industry players think he's doing something similar with Big U. Just like in his feud with Ja Rule and Murder Incorporated, 50 Cent didn't just focus on lyrical jabs. He kept exposing their alleged links to Kenneth Supreme McGriff, a convicted drug kingpin, hinting that Murder Incorporated was backed with drug profits. That angle helped spark federal probes into Murder Incorporated to look into their finances. All of this points to 50 Cent's consistent pattern of using strategic alliances and digging up dirt to bring down enemies. He doesn't just fight straight up. He's focused on spotting weak points and pressing exactly where it hits hardest. In fact, during a recent interview, DJ Academics outright accused Whack 100 of being just a pawn in a bigger plan. In a recorded convo, Academics told Whack,
I did what? I think you going online.
This implies that Whack's public attacks on Big U may have been orchestrated by someone far more influential.
You're not listening to this indictment as witness, cooperating, victim, nothing, which means the police is acknowledging you never had contact with them, right?
Never.
They actually describe you as a rival, basically almost somebody that they might be looking to their damn self. So it doesn't look like, but I will say some of what you may.
Academics suggested that even though Whack 100 isn't officially listed as a cooperating witness, his public remarks and online antics might have indirectly contributed valuable intel to the feds. That supports the theory that 50 Cent could be working behind the curtain through Whack 100, using him as a middleman to pass along information without ever being tied to it directly. When you look at 50 Cent's track record, it's clear he's known for never letting things go. If he had an issue with Big U, whether it was over deals, territory, or sheer ego, it wouldn't be a stretch to believe he'd tap into his network and apply pressure from multiple sides. Also worth noting is how 50 Cent has been creating shows like BMF, which are deeply tied to the world of crime and the streets, giving him special access to sources inside law enforcement and insight that most of hip-hop doesn't get close to. Some believe those ties may have played a role in what's happening with Big U. Word is, the rift between 50 Cent and Big U has been simmering for years, with some insiders claiming it all started over turf battles tied to the entertainment world. Big U had built major influence in West Coast hip-hop, while 50 Cent, through his various companies and shows, was expanding his reach all over the country, in music, TV, and even street credibility. And one thing about 50, he's always about control. Control over what people say, control over the business, and control over how things end. If Big U is seen as standing in the way of that control, it wouldn't shock anyone if 50 started quietly working to remove that block. What we're witnessing now is a clear pattern, one that mirrors 50 Cent's known playbook: strategic timing, calculated alliances, and silent moves behind loud voices. Even if he's not directly tied to the legal proceedings against Big U, the ripple of his influence is obvious through the storyline that's emerged. By staying close with people like Whack 100 and potentially passing along information through these connections, 50 Cent may have been a driving force behind the pressure that ultimately landed Big U in hot water. People on the streets are buzzing, and many are convinced that 50 Cent has been playing chess while the rest have been stuck playing checkers. One insider even said it best: 50 doesn't simply respond to drama, he manufactures it, often working several steps ahead to make his plans unfold. The Nipsey Hussle connection. Nipsey Hussle was more than an artist. He was deeply admired for both his music and his devotion to uplifting his community in South Central Los Angeles. His tragic death on March 31st, 2019, in front of his Marathon clothing store shook the world and left an ache in the hip-hop world that hasn't gone away. The official version of events is that Eric Holder Jr., aka Shitty Cuz, shot Nipsey after a short exchange in which Nipsey allegedly brought up street rumors that Holder had snitched. In gang culture, that kind of accusation carries serious weight. Apparently, it triggered Holder to come back armed and shoot Nipsey several times. Holder was convicted of first-degree murder on July 6, 2022, and was handed a 60 years to life sentence on February 22, 2023. Prosecutors argued that the killing was deliberate and that Holder had left and returned specifically to take Nipsey's life after their first talk. But here's where things start to get foggy. A steady stream of speculation and conspiracy has long questioned whether the truth behind Nipsey's death is bigger than what's been told. Some of those suspicions point directly at Big U, SKG, a former death row artist whose name stands for Suge Knight Girl, has been one of the loudest voices accusing Big U of having a hand in it. In a TMZ interview following Big U's arrest in March 2025, SKG praised the fact that he was locked up and dropped shocking allegations tying him to Nipsey's killing.
That he was involved in Nipsey Hussle's death. I mean, have you seen any proof that would confirm that?
For me being over and growing up in that area, I'm going to tell you guys this. He definitely had.
In that same interview, SKG alleged that Big U had physically attacked her during her pregnancy, supposedly right at Nipsey Hussle's store. She painted a picture of being set up by Nipsey and his associate, Fats.
I wasn't going over to the neighborhood, to the 6Os, because I was really busy, and I'm like, Nip, I'm gonna come, but I can't come right now. I pull up, walk in, him and Fats is behind the counter. I'm like, what's up, bro? And I'm talking to him, and as I'm talking to him, I get this eerie feeling, and then I hear a slam, clack, clack, and I realized I was set up. The door slammed. When I turned around, Big U was there and another guy, and he just slapped me.
These are serious.
These claims are extremely serious. Still, it's important to recognize that no official investigation or legal document has ever confirmed any connection between Big U and Nipsey's murder. The official narrative and court findings squarely blame Eric Holder Jr. without ever referencing Big U. And Big U has continued to firmly deny having anything to do with Nipsey's death. During a 2021 sit-down on Drink Champs, he addressed the whispers stating, "We ain't got no beef, period." He insisted they were still on good terms before Nipsey died, even sharing that Nipsey had flown him out to New York for a video shoot. In yet another interview, Big U gave his own account of Nipsey's murder that went against some of the widely held beliefs. Big U's version of events points to Nipsey's murder being the outcome of a personal conflict that spiraled, not a calculated assassination. He firmly denies that it was any kind of premeditated hit. But that's exactly where Loose Cannon comes in, dropping some explosive accusations. In early 2024, during a No Jumper podcast episode that featured Whack 100, Loose Cannon claimed that Big U had called him to say Nipsey was already dead before the killing had even happened. Interview 11:40/11:55. He said he phoned Nipsey to check if he was still alive, and sure enough, Nipsey was gunned down just 30 minutes later. This led to suspicions that Big U may have had some foreknowledge. He said, 30 minutes later, the homies blowing me up like they just killed Nipsey. These claims were so serious that Big U issued a cease and desist to No Jumper in March 2024. The situation escalated when in March 2025, Adam 22 disclosed that federal agents had confiscated that very letter.
Actually occurred.
So he FaceTimed me and stuff like that. He was like, Nipsey just got killed. I'm like, think so? I didn't hear that. So I hang up with him. I called Nipsey and I'm like, Nipsey, what's up? He was like, oh, what's up with it?
Nipsey answered.
Nipsey.
Showing that authorities were interested in what Loose Cannon had said regarding Big U possibly knowing ahead of time. However, Loose Cannon's twin brother, Jermaine Williams, later told the Streets and Scholars podcast that the phone call Loose Cannon talked about never even happened, calling his brother a flat-out liar. This conflicting version of events throws major doubt on Loose Cannon's accusations. So the question becomes, how does 50 Cent tie into all of this? While there's nothing directly linking 50 Cent to these rumors about Nipsey's death, Some believe he may have been quietly pushing these stories in the background to apply pressure on Big U. 50 Cent is known for waging psychological warfare in his feuds. He often collects dirt on his enemies and then releases it strategically, usually through other people like Whack 100. By giving oxygen to figures like SKG and Loose Cannon, who were making serious allegations about Big U, 50 Cent may have played a role in amplifying a story that drew law enforcement's attention. Still, it's important to remember that all these claims about Big U being involved in Nipsey's murder haven't led to any formal charges against him in the ongoing RICO investigation. The 43-count federal indictment targeting Big U consists of accusations such as murder, extortion, fraud, and racketeering. However, these charges relate to separate incidents, including the supposed 2021 killing of up-and-coming rapper Ryan Williams in Las Vegas, and not Nipsey's case. The participation of Black Sam, Nipsey's brother, adds more substance to these claims. An old post dated March 22, 2025, by Adelovskip noted that both Whack 100 and Loose Cannon alleged that Big U and Nipsey were involved in a physical fight years before Nipsey's death, which led to Black Sam being arrested for discharging a firearm. This could indicate that there was existing friction between Big U and Nipsey before the fatal shooting. Another important moment was in 2011, when reports claimed Big U and Nipsey got into a physical dispute around Crenshaw and Slauson. Locals say the altercation was caused by concerns over the living conditions of Nipsey's daughter, Imani, whose mother, Tanisha Foster, is allegedly Big U's niece through marriage. The situation escalated to a point where Black Sam fired a warning shot, prompting police involvement that led to the arrest of 5 individuals, including Big U, Nipsey, and Black Sam, although all were released the next day. One more layer to their relationship was a business deal between them. Some critics have raised questions about Nipsey's contract with Big U's label, Unique Music, specifically a 10-year agreement that included a 50. Some insiders have floated the theory that injuries from the fight could potentially help their bail cases, maybe painting them as victims rather than aggressors. But so far, there are no verified details about anyone being seriously injured. Could 50 Cent also be linked to these unexpected jail yard brawls? If 50 Cent really is executing calculated moves from behind the curtain, he'd likely understand these gang dynamics and might even exploit them to his advantage, fueling or inflaming rivalries among figures like Big U, Whack 100, and Loose Cannon. That way, he could shake up the power structure while keeping his hands clean. It's a clever tactic that turns pre-existing hostilities into weapons while keeping 50 insulated from direct fallout. And it's completely in line with his well-known method of waging war through strategy rather than face-to-face battles. So, what's the endgame here? If 50 Cent is, in fact, behind some of the legal chaos surrounding Big U, what's he hoping to gain? There are a few theories. First, the motive could be business-related. 50 Cent has expanded his empire within the entertainment world, and Big U is a major figure in West Coast hip-hop. Their zones of influence may have clashed, creating a turf war behind the scenes. Second, personal issues might be at the root, especially in hip-hop culture, where respect is everything. If 50 Cent ever felt slighted or disrespected by Big U, that could be enough reason to launch a long-term strategy against him. Third, 50 Cent might simply see weakening Big U as a tactical move to boost his own industry power. 50 is always scanning the landscape for potential threats, and Big U's reputation in Los Angeles and the broader hip-hop space could easily qualify as one. Now, let's consider the possible consequences. If Big U is found guilty on the current charges, it could shake the foundation of the Los Angeles hip-hop scene. Big U has held serious sway in West Coast rap for years, and his fall would create a power void others might scramble to fill. It might also put other music industry figures under the spotlight, especially those rumored to be involved in criminal enterprises. The federal government's use of RICO charges against Big U marks a major step up in how they're addressing crime in the rap game and could pave the way for similar cases going forward. If 50 Cent is really involved and Big U ends up convicted, it would boost 50's stature even more, sending a warning to anyone thinking about crossing him. It would strengthen his image as a master strategist, someone capable of toppling giants without even lifting a finger publicly. But let's not forget the risks. If 50's role were ever proven or even hinted at with hard evidence, it might spark serious backlash in certain corners of the hip-hop community. And if the legal case against Big U falls apart, any perceived advantage 50 Cent hoped to gain could dissolve with it. All of this speaks to how beefs in hip-hop have transformed over the years. Once upon a time, rap feuds were handled through diss tracks or showdowns at award shows. Now, the stakes are so much higher. What we're seeing is the rise of behind-the-scenes warfare, legal tactics, industry pressure, and psychological games instead of direct confrontation. So, what does this all mean? The drama surrounding 50 Cent, Big U, and Whack 100 shows how complicated modern hip-hop battles have become. They're no longer just about who's got the hardest lyrics or the deepest crew. It's about who can manipulate systems, legal, financial, media, to tilt the board in their favor. If you enjoyed this video, check out the rest of our jaw-dropping breakdowns right here on the channel. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.